Airport at precisely 9:15 a.m. Like every long-haul flight to Toronto, the terminal was a mosaic of cultures, families speaking in different languages, tourists showing each other souvenirs, and business travelers glued to their screens. What made that morning different wasn't visible to anyone except maybe fate itself. The sun rose normally, the airport buzzed as usual, and every announcement echoed with routine. Yet deep within the atmosphere that day, something was brewing, something violent, unpredictable, and ready to test human courage in a way almost no one on that plane could imagine. Asterisk among the passengers was Arun Kumar, a 12-year-old boy traveling alone. He was small for his age, with neatly combed hair, bright observant eyes, and a backpack almost bigger than him. Inside were a few clothes, his passport, a chess strategy book, and a small tablet loaded with videos, specifically videos about machines, engines, and especially airplanes. Ever since he was 5, he had been fascinated by flight. He didn't dream of becoming a pilot for glory. He simply loved understanding how things worked. While other kids watched cartoons, he watched Boeing and Airbus maintenance tutorials. While others collected action figures, he collected diagrams of cockpits. Asterisk, he was traveling to meet his father in Toronto, a reunion planned for months. His father worked in information systems and often traveled, making visits rare. His mother, who watched him pass security with watery eyes, had hugged him tightly before he walked away. "Be brave, Beta," she whispered. Arun nodded. "I will." Asterisk, he had flown several times before, so fear wasn't an issue. Instead, he felt excitement sitting by the window, watching the giant wings slice the air, watching the flaps extend and retract. Everything about an airplane fascinated him. Asterisk, once on board, he found his C-32A beside the window just as he hoped. A kind elderly couple took the seats beside him. The woman smiled warmly. Asterisk, traveling alone, dear? She asked. Asterisk, yes, ma'am, Arun replied politely. Going to see my dad. Asterisk, the man gave him a thumbs up. Arun liked them instantly. They reminded him of his grandparents. Asterisk, flight attendants moved gracefully through the aisle, placing bags in overhead compartments, ensuring everyone was buckled. The air smelled faintly of coffee and new upholstery. Passengers chatted, laughed, and some began dozing even before takeoff. Asterisk, in the cockpit, Captain Rohan Menon, a veteran pilot with more than 22,000 flight hours, ran through his checklists. With First Officer Dana Hill, the aircraft, a Boeing 787 Dreamliner, was in perfect condition. Clear skies were predicted for most of the route. Asterisk, but the Atlantic, unpredictable as ever, was hiding a storm cell that had formed faster than forecasts could detect. Asterisk, as the airplane pushed back from the gate, Arun leaned his forehead against the window, watching ground crews wave and vehicles scurry below. The engine spooled up the deep, comforting hum that always sent a thrill through him. When the plane lifted off the runway, Arun felt weightless for a moment, smiling in pure awe. Asterisk, clouds drifted by. The desert disappeared beneath them. The sky turned bluer and brighter. Asterisk, everything felt normal. Perfect. Even. Asterisk, passengers relaxed, some reading, some sleeping, some already ordering drinks. The crew rolled carts down the aisle with practiced grace. Arun took out his chess book and began to study an opening strategy, occasionally glancing at the wing outside. Asterisk. But far in the distance, beyond the bright horizon, thin streaks of dark clouds began to gather, quiet, cold, and full of electric fury. Unseen, unheard. Asterisk, waiting. Asterisk, it was the beginning of a flight that would soon be remembered not for the journey, but for the unimaginable horror that would strike and the unbelievable courage that would rise from the Most unexpected place. Arun had no idea that before this flight ended, he would face the greatest challenge of his young life, one that would test everything he had ever learned, everything he believed, and ultimately, his ability to stay calm when hundreds of lives depended on it. For now, he was just a boy looking out a window. But destiny was already steering the course towards something extraordinary. 2 hours into the flight, SkyReach 907 crossed into the early stretch of the Atlantic Ocean. The seatbelt signs had been off for nearly an hour, allowing passengers to move about freely. Some had gathered near the galley for conversation, others waited in line for the restroom, and many were watching movies on the seatback screens. Babies slept soundly, and the hum of engines created a peaceful, hypnotic rhythm. Arun had just finished a chapter of his chess book and was sketching a Boeing 787 wing in his notebook when he noticed something unusual. The aircraft tilted slightly, nothing alarming, but then it tilted again, harder this time. A few passengers looked up, confused. Then came the first announcement. The captain's voice was calm, but slightly strained. Ladies and gentlemen, we're entering a region of moderate turbulence. We request all passengers return to their seats and fasten their seatbelts. Arun fastened his belt quickly. The elderly couple beside him did the same. Within minutes, the airplane began to shake, not gently, but violently enough to rattle trays and wobble overhead bins. A thump echoed from the rear of the cabin as someone dropped a service container. Nervous murmurs spread like ripples. The lights flickered. Passengers gasped. A sudden, sharp jolt sent a drink splashing across a passenger's lap. The flight attendants, trained for such emergencies, moved swiftly but carefully, bracing themselves as they guided people back to their seats. Outside, the sky darkened. Clouds gathered thick and fast, swirling unnaturally. Lightning flashed silent at first, then followed by a distant rumble. Arun stared in awe and growing fear. He had seen storms from the sky before, but nothing like this. The aircraft shook again, harder. A baby began to cry. Someone shouted a prayer in the back. Then came the strike. A deafening crack of lightning lit up the entire sky, turning clouds white as day. The plane lurched downward violently, sending screams through the cabin. Oxygen masks dropped with a snap, swaying wildly. The left engine shuddered. Then alarms began, real ones. Metallic warnings echoed from the cockpit. Lights blinked red. Passengers clutched the armrests. Some held hands tightly. Panic clawed its way through the cabin. The captain's voice returned, this time far more urgent. Brace. Everyone brace. Those two words, rarely heard in actual passenger flights, froze the blood of every person on board. The airplane continued to shake uncontrollably. Arun's heart pounded so hard he could hear it in his ears. He glanced at the window rain streaked across it like rapid bullets. Clouds swirled in violent spirals. Soon, the plane stabilized barely, but the turbulence was still severe. The oxygen masks remained dangling. One of the flight attendants, gripping the seats to stay upright, reassured the passengers as best as she could. We're okay. Everyone stay calm. She yelled over the noise. But the cabin lights flickered again, dimming for a full 3 seconds before returning. It was enough to ignite fresh panic. Arun, though terrified, noticed something wrong. The left engine wasn't producing the same soft rhythmic vibration as before. He could feel it through the floor. It was quieter. Too quiet. The storm grew louder, angrier, like a beast pounding against the fuselage. Lightning struck again. The engine sputtered. Asterisk, someone screamed. We're going down. Asterisk, the attendants shouted for calm, but fear had already taken over. The turbulence showed no sign of relenting. The plane shook like a leaf in a hurricane. Rain hammered against the windows. Every crack of thunder felt closer. Asterisk, Arun realized this wasn't ordinary turbulence. Asterisk, something was very, very wrong. This was the beginning of a nightmare. A flight that would be remembered as the most horrible in aviation history. Asterisk, and Arun, shaking, terrified, gripping his armrests, was unknowingly stepping closer to the moment when he would be forced to do something impossible. The storm raged outside, but inside SkyReach 907, an eerie mixture of chaos and silence filled the cabin. People whispered prayers, sobbed quietly, or stared helplessly at the oxygen masks still dangling above them. The turbulence eased slightly, but the tension only grew stronger. Asterisk, Arun tried to steady his breathing. His eyes darted around the cabin, searching for clues, signs, anything that made sense. He knew storms could damage aircraft, but he also knew that modern planes were designed to withstand lightning. Something else must have happened. Asterisk, 20 minutes passed with no announcement from the cockpit. Asterisk, 20 minutes of fear, 20 minutes of silence. Flight attendants exchanged worried glances. One of them, a tall woman with dark hair, knocked on the locked cockpit door. No answer. She tried again, louder. Still nothing. Passengers noticed, and whispers turned to panic. Asterisk, why aren't they answering? Asterisk, is the captain okay? Asterisk, are we flying without pilots? Asterisk, Arun's heart raced. He knew communication failure was extremely serious. Then, as the attendant prepared to knock again, the cockpit door opened slowly, shakily. Asterisk, Captain Rohan. Menon stood there, but he was not the confident pilot they'd seen earlier. Blood trickled down the side of his forehead. His uniform was torn. His eyes, usually calm, looked dazed, unfocused. Gasps filled the cabin. Captain! What happened? He tried to speak, but his voice cracked. We lost. Primary instruments, he said. Autopilot malfunctioned. The storm? Lightning hit our avionics. The attendant's face turned pale. And the first officer? Asterisk, he's unconscious. The captain swallowed hard. I stabilized the plane, but we're flying blind. Asterisk, passengers froze. Fear became a living thing in the aisle. Asterisk, the captain leaned on the wall, breathing heavily. I have to, he staggered. The attendants caught him before he fell. Asterisk, Arun rose from his seat despite his shaking knees. Something clicked in his mind, something he remembered from a Boeing maintenance video. Asterisk, Captain. Arun said softly, if lightning hit the avionics bus, maybe the breaker tripped. The panel is near the mid-cabin, hidden behind a service latch. The captain stared at him in confusion. What? What did you say? Arun pointed. There's a manual override relay panel. I saw a technician open it in a video. If you reset the breakers, maybe the system will reboot. Asterisk. The attendants looked stunned that a 12-year-old had said those words. Asterisk. But the captain didn't dismiss him. Asterisk, instead. He closed his eyes. Asterisk, he knew. The boy was right. Asterisk, he tried walking toward the panel, but his hands trembled violently. His vision blurred. The flight attendant whispered, he can't see the labels. He's too injured. Arun swallowed. I know where they are. I memorized the layout. For a moment, nobody spoke. The storm thundered outside, lightning illuminating the cabin like a warning. The captain placed a shaking hand on Arun's shoulder. Okay, he whispered, show me. Asterisk. The cabin watched in stunned silence as the small boy led the injured captain toward the service latch. Passengers moved aside automatically. creating a narrow path. Arun reached the hidden panel. His hands trembled, but not from fear. This time from fear. This time from reach the hidden panel. His hands trembled, but not from fear. This time from fear. This time from fear. This time from fear. Responsibility. Asterisk behind that panel were switches that controlled the aircraft's heartbeat. He had seen them countless times in videos, but never imagined touching one. He whispered to himself, Bus A, comms relay, autopilot primary. The captain handed him the emergency flashlight. Take your time, he said. But Arun, do it right. Arun nodded. He drew in a deep breath. Asterisk then, slowly, carefully, he reached into the panel. The entire cabin held its breath. This was the silence before disaster asterisk or salvation. The entire aircraft seemed to go still, passengers silent, flight attendants frozen, even the storm outside briefly muffled by the thundering of terrified hearts. All eyes were fixed on the small boy kneeling beside the open service panel with a flashlight trembling in his hand. Arun swallowed hard. His fingers hovered over the row of switches. Asterisk, he had memorized them. Hadn't he? Asterisk, yes. Yes, he had. But this wasn't a video. This wasn't a simulation. Asterisk, if he flipped the wrong breaker, he could make things worse. The captain knelt beside him but struggled to stay conscious. You can do this. Arun, he whispered. Asterisk, I trust you. Those words steadied Arun more than anything else could have. He took a slow breath, then another. Asterisk. Okay, he said, almost to himself. 3-step reset. He located the first breaker. 1. Avionics bus A, reset click. The cabin lights flickered again once, twice, then steadied. Whispers spread through the passengers. It's working. Asterisk. Is he fixing the plane? Asterisk. God bless that child. Arun didn't hear any of it. He was completely focused. He located the second switch. 2. Comms relay reboot asterisk. When he flipped it, a faint hum pulsed through the panels like the plane was taking a deeper breath. Asterisk up in the cockpit, screens rebooted one by one slowly as if waking from a heavy sleep. The radio crackled faintly. The captain's eyes widened. Yes. Yes, that's it. Arun moved to the final most critical switch. 3. Autopilot primary wake. Protocol. His hand shook. This was the one that could make or break their survival. Asterisk. He slowly pressed it upward. Click. For a moment, nothing. No sound, no hum. Just silence. Passengers felt their stomachs tighten. Asterisk. Flight attendants clung to nearby seats. Arun held his breath. Then asterisk, a soft mechanical whir. A beep. Another beep. A beep. Full sequence of lights activated on the overhead cockpit panel. Asterisk. The Dreamliner leveled itself, adjusting its altitude smoothly. Asterisk. The storm still roared outside, but now the aircraft fought back with restored strength. Asterisk. The captain, tears gathering in his eyes, grabbed the nearest intercom headset. Asterisk. He spoke into it with a voice cracking under emotion. Asterisk. Mayday control. This is SkyReach 907. We have restored avionics. Request immediate priority landing. The radio answered clearly, almost triumphantly. SkyReach 907, we copy. Emergency runway ready. You are clear for diversion. The cabin erupted in applause. People cried openly. Some shouted blessings. Others just sat back, overwhelmed. The elderly couple hugged Arun before he even stood up. You saved us, the woman cried. You saved all of us. Asterisk. The captain knelt in front of the boy. Asterisk. Arun, I owe you my life. All of us do. Flight attendants guided him back to his seat like he was made of gold, and Arun, small, shy, Still shaking, felt a warm, overwhelming feeling spread through his chest. Not pride. Not even relief. Responsibility. He had done something no one expected. Something unbelievable. But the journey wasn't over yet. The storm still battered the aircraft as it descended toward Halifax, where emergency crews waited. The captain, though injured, returned to the cockpit, stabilized by the restored systems. The landing was harsh, shaking, loud, brutally rough, but safe. When the wheels finally touched the runway, the cabin burst into cheers louder than any celebration imaginable. Some fell to their knees, some hugged strangers, some simply sobbed. Arun looked out the window at the flashing fire truck lights, overwhelmed. As he stood to disembark, a flight attendant whispered, "You didn't just help the captain, you saved 300 lives today." Journalists outside rushed toward the stairs, cameras ready. But Arun didn't care about fame. He just wanted to call his mother. He dialed her, trembling. When she answered, he finally cried, "Mama, I'm okay." She didn't understand. The full story not yet, but she cried too, later. The world would know his name. But in that moment, he was just a brave little boy who dared to do the impossible. And he became a hero.